Take your hands onto the roller. Take your feet about sits bone distance apart. And you're going to start with a squat. So you're going to let the roller tip away from you as you squat down. Inhale, exhale. Slow and controlled, undoing that hip hinge all the way up to standing. So as you inhale, long spine, hips go back, knees track slightly forward, and then engage the glutes and come back up. It's going to look different. It's going to kind of look and feel different for all of us because of body proportions in terms of how high the roller comes, how far away it is to have long arms. But go ahead with long arms here. So as you inhale, see if you can find some expansion into the back and sides of your ribs. And with the exhale, the whole rib cage narrows. With the inhale, the abdominals stay engaged and lifted. Most of the breath goes into the rib cage. With the exhale, strong and engaged to stand. One more like this. We're gonna do the same thing, but add a little bit more kind of weight load to that. So grab your roller between your hands, squat with the roller forward, and then exhale, reach it up towards the ceiling as you come up. And the roller will stay slightly in front of you. Remember that it's not going to go back into your back space or even really back by your ears, because that will make you want to draw your ribs into extension. So keep it slightly forward. Hinge in the hips, abdominals up, weight even in the feet, and lift up. You're going to add extension at the top. So bringing it down, exhaling up, and inhale, come into extension. Lift your low abdominals. Engage your glutes a little bit and open your chest. It's an exhale back to stand. Inhale down. Exhale up. Inhale, extend. Exhale, neutral. Down. Press. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Feel the length starting all the way down to your ankles for that. So even as you go into your back bend, your back is staying long. You're not pushing, you're not dropping into your low back, you're kind of pushing your hips forward to make that back bend through your thoracic, through your upper back. 2 more like this. Lots of strength and lift through the abdominals as you go into extension. And then find your neutral and take it into rotation. Rotate towards the right, keep your hips facing front or side, whatever your front is when you're squared off, keep your hips facing front, and twist. Twist, taller, tallest, reach up from the bottom tips of your scapula. So you're not like shoving your shoulders up towards your ears, but you're feeling length. You can keep going with it. You're feeling length all the way from here, drawn up through the sides of the armpits, through the triceps into that twist. One more. And then side bends, go lateral flexion. I've already done some Pilates today. I've actually done a lot of lateral flexion today already. I'm feeling nice and warm in this range. So don't look to me to how far you have to go with this. Feel in your body what's right in terms of your range. Your roller is slightly in front of you. Your shoulders are soft away from your ears. One more time each side. Now we're going to put those two together, so twisting and side bending, but we're going to do it. No, not really side bending, but we're going to do it down in a big wide plie. I had planned this before class and I was like, does it really have lateral flexion? It doesn't, but it's got a lot of movement in it. So come down into a plie. Your feet are wide and externally rotated, and you're going to lift up and twist and bring the roller back down. So it's got a lot going on, but it doesn't actually have lateral flexion. So as you rise up, you are rotated, bring it into rotation, and then drop it down. Do one more this direction. Knees stay really wide, and then reverse it. It's a funny circle with your roller in front of you. Remember that you only have like 30 degrees of rotation off center in your rib cage, maybe up to 45, but you do not have 90 degrees. What that means is that when we're doing rotation exercises like this, we're never trying to get our breastbone, our chest, our shoulder girdle to face directly to the right or the left. It's always just going to be really just off center. So like in my living room, it's kind of front corners, but that's even kind of pushing it. Just a little off center. That's the range that we have through our thoracic spine. You ready to stand up? Stand up. Change it to a squat, meaning that your hips are going to go back and the roller is going to go forward. And then lift through, my new favorite word that fell out of my mouth last week, lift through your glutey. So your glutes and your booty, the technical and the slang. So glutey fires up to bring you back to standing. Now stay down with it. And you can either keep your hands on the roller like this, you're gonna pulse a little, or you can grab your roller and reach it in front of you for a little bit more of a challenge. Keep opening your knees wide, like you're trying to track them over your pinky toes. You're definitely at a hinge here. You're definitely lifting your abdominals and watching, particularly, thinking of who's in class, particularly Anne. There's probably a few other people, but I can definitely think of you, Anne. Watch the extension in the thoracic. So drawing the ribs in, front body really strong. And go ahead and stand it up. Bring yourself to parallel and put the roller, put it behind you for now. And this is your check. The roller is going to be your check. You want a little bit of space like mine is, and I'll tell you what I mean by that check. You're going to plie here in parallel. Go as low as you can without lifting your heels, and then lengthen, pull the back of your thighs towards the roller. So what I mean by your check is that it's checking for you that you're not sticking your butt behind you. I'm not going to go so far that I hit my roller, but that's what it's checking. If you knock your roller down, you're hip hinging. You're not sliding down an imaginary wall behind you. Use this as an ankle stretch. So go low enough that you feel the backs of your ankles and your Achilles start to open up here. Warm up. Hands wrapped around your pelvis. You're going to bend down into your plie, and then you're going to lift your right leg into tabletop. You're going to stay on the right, so you're going to get weight 50-50 both feet, and then you're going to come back over to the left, lift the right. You have 4 on this side, that was 2. Shift weight on both, weight on the left. Weight on both, weight on the left. Okay, I'll be honest, that was 4. Find your stability here, find your strength, and circle in your right hip socket. 2 and 1. Keep going, reverse the circle. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let that go. Switch sides. So you can be facing me or facing side, whatever's easier for you, whatever's better for you. You're going to plie, really check out the weight is 50-50, and then up onto your right leg 4 times. Hug your right hip in, activate your right glute. Come onto both feet. Come onto one foot. Both. And 1. I think this is already 4. Stay standing tall, circle. 2 and 1, reverse. Reverse, I lost my circle. 4, 3, at the hip, not the ankle. Let that go. Bring the roller down behind you, and you're gonna put your right foot on it. It's just gonna rest there. You can find the sweet spot for you. It's basically to just let your leg hang out without weight on it. I mean, there is some weight on it, but without a lot of weight on it, especially for where we're going with this. So standing up very tall on your left leg, you're gonna do a roll down. Drop your chin to your chest. Ooh, I already lost my balance. Hold on. This is a challenging balance exercise. All right, drop your chin to your chest, look down. You're gonna roll down through your spine. You can soften your standing knee as much and whenever you need to. You're lifting your abdominals up, you're scooping up. Come as close to the floor as works for your body. Even if you're really long in your hamstrings, Christine, among other people, bend your standing knee to roll back up. That's the hard part. That's the part where you should really feel both balance challenged by stability in your ankle and your foot, but also a lot of activation through your standing leg. So we're gonna do 3 on each leg, maybe 4. This is 2. Lift your abdominals up. It's like a roll down here. Like a roll down from sitting onto the floor. See if you can drop your head for a moment at the bottom. So you see the rollers just there to take your right leg out of the equation. Roll it up. We've got 1 more. I'll stay to the 3. Scoop your abdominals up. Try to make a negative space in your front body. Let your arms hang. Let your head hang. Soften your standing knee, even if you don't have to. Even if you're super mobile in your hamstrings, soften it. Now let the roller come back a little bit further so you can straighten the right leg. Bend the left standing knee. Get long through your torso. Reach your arms forward for more challenge, hands on the hips for less challenge, and lift your foot off the roller. This is like bird dog, right? This is like as if we're on hands and knees, bird dog. Just a lot more challenging for the standing leg. 4, 3, 2, 1. Step on both feet and stand up because you have a second side. All right, I guess I don't really have to turn around for that. We can just keep the roller where it is. Setting up for the second side. Find that point. You just got to find what works for you in terms of how far back the roller is to rest your foot on it. 3 roll downs. Find your focus, your focal point, the ease in your breath, the lift of the abdominals, soft in the standing knee, soft in the standing foot, which means notice if your standing foot, if all the little muscles are trying to scrunch and clench, it's not going to be conducive to balance. Bend your standing knee to come back up. If you are having an impossibly challenging time with balance, make sure that you're standing on a, around the back, make sure that you're standing on a hard surface if you can, not a rug or even a mat. If you can stand on a hard surface, it's going to be a little easier. In a perfect world, your hips are level from right to left the whole time, meaning obviously you go through this tilt, but your left hip is not pulled back. So your hips are on an even plane from right to left. Last one. Scoop the abdominals up, roll it down, roll it back up. And then the roller will need to go a little bit further back. Find a bend in the standing knee, hug both hips in, arms up or hands on the hips, 8 lifts. So extension through the left leg. Lift the abdominals. If your arms are out in front of you like this, make sure that they're kind of in your sight, in your front space, just like the first cue. As they get back here, you're gonna wanna drop in your back, arms slightly forward, front body engaged. Of course, I lost count. Let's do 1 more. Stand on your feet, interlace your hands, press your palms to the ceiling, and draw up into a little extension here. Okay, our lower body is warmed up, huh? Let's get down to the mat, and we'll start on the mat with the roller between the right hand and the right foot. So on the mat, on the floor, down, however you are, the roller is going to be between the right foot and the right hand. you're gonna find some pressure there. Push the roller up towards the ceiling by wrapping your right shoulder blade forward. I'll show you on the left. So, you're not hung out down here lazy through the shoulder. It is wrapped forward and strong towards neutral. So holding that position through the right side, your left leg is going to come up to tabletop 4 times. Neutral spine with an exhale. Tabletop. And inhale slowly back down. Exhale. Tabletop. This slow. Keep it this slow and this controlled. Exhale. You're going to keep it up in tabletop. And then the right side is still just holding court, holding steady there as the left leg opens to the side and draws back in. Let me give you a little different perspective on that one. We've done it in different ways, the similar exercise. Just 4 of these, no change through the right side. Just a lot of activation through the right side, right? It is not passive. And then left leg can stay up or it can set down if you're ready for that. You're gonna reach the right leg low and long and then bring it back to its starting point. Reach the right leg low and long and back to its starting point. So it's a bit of push-pull. The hand pushes and then the foot pushes. One more like this. This leg could have been down the whole time. All right, let that go. Before we do the other side, let's just do a little rotation. Take your feet a bit wider than hip distance and inhale to drop your knees. Exhale, draw your knees back to center. It's not really the best place for the roller. You can set it to the side. Inhale, drop your knees to one side. Exhale, drag them back to the center. Nice and easy here. Drop your knees on an inhale. Drag them back to center. As you inhale, increase the volume into your rib cage. Expand your rib cage front, sides, and back. Decrease the volume of your rib cage. Draw it in, narrow it. Do one more time each side. Last one. Other side with the roller. So this is great. You'll probably feel a lot of these dorsiflexor muscles in the front of your foot, front of your ankle. You'll feel them working during this. Tibialis anterior on the front of the shin is working a lot, which is awesome because it's muscles that can get pretty weak on people. So you're pressing your hand into the roller and your foot into the roller, wrapping your shoulder blade forward, and your right leg is going to come up to tabletop 4 and slowly lower it back down. 3 and lower it down. 2. That wrapping of the shoulder blade forward, activation of this shoulder musculature will help draw your ribs down a bit and upper abs stay engaged. Right leg stays up, it goes out, it opens out wide like that fire hydrant and back in. I said wide, and that's definitely the direction it goes, but don't feel like it has to go to its full range of capacity there. If mine goes much lower, then things start to shift. So how far can you go with control, with control, with control? Stability through the left side. And then last variation here, right leg can stay up or the right foot can come to the floor. Go long through the hip flexors that have been so active and then activate them to pull it back in. Strong through the ankle flexors on the left side. 2 more. Last one. Now grab onto the roller. We're going to do a bigger version of that spinal twist. Push both, wrap both shoulder blades forward. Push the roller up towards the ceiling. Imagine the roller's a fixed point as you send your legs off to one side, letting the opposite hip lift a little. Exhale. So we've got We've got a lot of spinal twists today. There, Miska. This is for the digestive system. We'll just say it that way. It's approached a lot in yoga, but it is true. Twists help keep things moving in the digestive tract. So we'll do some twists here, active and passive, after some holiday time of perhaps eating out of the ordinary, whether that's in amounts or things. Set your feet down and take the roller to your thighs. Take your hands to the top of the roller. You're going to do ab prep here. As you exhale, nod your chin towards your chest. Roll the roller up towards your knees. Take some time with this. And then roll it back down. Exhale, nod your chin towards your chest. Look towards the roller. Roll it up, no change in the low back. And roll it back down. Remember the sequence of events. It's almost that anticipatory muscle activation of nodding the chest or nodding the chin towards the chest before you try to lift that heavy head. So you're giving the deep neck flexors the anticipatory cue that they need to engage before trying to lift the head. Last one like this. And bring the roller between your hips and your seat. Lift your hips up and drop them down on the roller. Just take a moment here to enjoy this really supported position. If most of you are very regular in this class and this position, but this doesn't work perfectly for everyone. For some people, most of you are taller than me, but if you do have like a really short torso, the roller might feel tall or your roller might feel hard. Know that if you have one of those like small blue balls, inflatable balls at home, you could do hips on work. You could do hips on that, or you could do hips on a yoga block. Is generally a little bit shorter, so that might be preferred for you. Just know, I mean, for most people, this is a really nice, lovely position, and the roller's a great prop for it. But not everyone. So know that you have options to adjust for that. You're going to bring your right leg up to tabletop, and then your left leg up to tabletop, and then your right leg down, and your left leg down. Lead with the left. Left. Engage your abdominals, long and strong like a plank from your hips to your shoulders. 2 more sets, your right leg leads. Right, left, right, left leg leads. Left, right, and we're gonna stay here with this. Externally rotate, heels together, toes apart. Reach your legs long, really squeeze your inner thighs together. Open your legs wide, squeeze them back together, and do frog. So bend, lengthen, open, close. Bend, lengthen, really deliberate open and close. Bend, reach, open, close. For me, with my tightness or flexibility, mobility, however you want to call it today, I feel a stretch just at the very end range of opening my legs, but I'm not hanging out in that stretch. I'm allowing myself to go right to that point where I feel the stretch, but I'm not hanging out in it. One more like this. Go into scissors, turn back to parallel, and go slow, slow, slow scissor switch. Take the time, so going really slow with it gives you the length through the front of the bottom leg and the activation through the front of the top leg. Slow and controlled with these switches. We want our psoas to work on the top leg side. We want it to be active and functional to pull the thigh towards the torso while the torso stays nice and stable. Then we also want the psoas to have the ability, the hip flexors and the psoas to have the ability to go long here, to really go through the length without tugging on the back. So no, very little sensation, if any, in the back musculature here. And then let both legs come over, just soften your back down towards the floor. I grabbed under my roller, you may or may not have to. Point and flex through your ankles. Very slow. And then do 1 point, 1 flex, just to play with the brain and the coordination. And then roll them. See if you can roll the ankles the same direction. Reverse. And we have one more little sequence here. So drop your tailbone heavy to the far side, lengthen your spine back out, bend your knees, and like frog, but now we're just going to stay parallel, and pull your knees in a little closer without changing your spine, and then reach your legs long and away from you, as if you could just keep reaching them forever, but then you decide instead to bend them in. So almost like there's no end point in either direction. Hinging at the hips, really purely hinging at the hips and bending at the knees, and then lengthening at the knees and the hips. Slowly bring it in. Last one here. Reach it long. Hug your right, your left, doesn't matter, but hug your left knee into your chest and let your right leg go long and heavy. And then give the knee that you're hugging in, give it some kind of squeezes, like kind of pull it in. You're just letting the thigh bone drop heavy in the hip socket. So this is especially important for Francesca. You have a little bit of this. I know y'all's bodies, but now it's, things have changed in the last 9 months since I've really seen you a lot in person. But this move for the top leg is especially important for those of you who like to kind of push into your hips when you're standing or walking. So if you've been told, that you need to move your hips back in space, move them back over your heels, or if you know that you kind of spring into your hip flexors, dropping the thigh bone down, getting the head of the femur towards the back of the hip socket is a really healthy counter movement to that tendency. And then switch sides. And one beautiful thing about this little exercise stretch that we're doing is those of you, like Christine particularly, who are the opposite and tend to always live in a little bit of hip flexion. This side, the head of the femur is coming towards the front anteriorly in your hip socket. So the opposite of your comfort zone. So whether your comfort zone is neutral or head of the femur in the front or the back of the hip socket, this is hitting all those spots for you. Both your comfort zone and the opposite of your comfort zone. So you can give it a little wiggle, a little pull, and release. Put your feet down, and you're gonna lift your hips just off the roller. I would say take your hands to the sides of the roller. Lift your hips just off the roller, and then slide your hips to the right and set them down. So it's like the babyest hip lift. Just engage your glutes, lift off the roller a little bit, slide off center to the left, and lower back down. So this is translating the pelvis. You're moving your pelvis like a typewriter across. So when you set your hips down on the roller, your feet and your shoulders are in line, but then your hips are to the outside of that line. Lift, translate, just slide across and lower down. And I'm staying so low, I feel my butt engaged, but then I'm staying so low with my hips that I can feel the flesh and the fabric of my pants touching the roller, which is good. It gives me feedback that I'm not twisting through the pelvis and that I'm really purely and truly just translating. Do 2 more. lift, slide, and down, lift, slide, down, and then just find center again. I would suggest that you have your hands on the roller for this for a little bit of help. You're gonna do, similarly, you're gonna lift your hips just off of the roller. Don't try to go any higher. Just lift them off the roller, even if you have more range and strength. Just barely off the roller. And my feet need to be a little narrower to make this successful. I'm hesitating because it's gonna be hard. You're gonna lift your right leg. You're gonna lift your right leg. It looks like I'm resting on the roller, but I'm not. I'm not. My hips are just off the roller. And same thing here. I can feel the feedback of the roller letting me know that I'm level through my hips, but I'm not weighted on the roller. Set your hips down. Set your foot down. Lift your hips. Lift your left leg, and it's just a hold. I mean, just as if it's easy, but it is a hold. Set your hips down, set your foot down, set your back down, set your butt down. Put your feet on the roller. Nice and easy, just lengthen your legs, soften. Check that at the length, your quads soften, your hip flexors release, and then bend your knees back in, and then lengthen. Don't overthink rotation in your legs or whether your feet are narrow or wide. Try to just try not to do that little walky thing. I had to get it into a different position, but try not to walk on the roller and just to let your feet, your heels, your ankles, the back of your calves, wherever it is touching, just roll evenly from right to left. Two more. And then bring it in. We haven't actually done a hip roll yet today. I don't know if I could get through a whole class without doing one, so here we are. Bring your legs all the way together, like they are one unit. Bring the roller under the balls of your feet. Exhale, sink your abdominals down, tuck your hips under, press down into the roller, rolling it up. Inhale long at the top. Exhale, soften just below the breastbone and roll it down. Add the arms. Exhale. Fingertips up towards the ceiling. Arms come all the way behind you. Exhale as if the air is 20,000 times heavier than it is. Push through this heavy air all the way down to neutral. Exhale. Inhaling long, you can let your gaze go down towards your knees at the top here. And then as you exhale and push through that heavy air, your gaze will return back towards the ceiling. You can always do this with your feet on the floor if your hamstrings are saying no to the roller today. So because of where our spine's going at the top, feel free to look down your body a little, nodding your chin to your chest. Oh, that was our last one. Hug your knees into your chest. Rock it around a little. Come up to sitting. Take the roller onto your thighs. Take the roller onto your thighs. You're going to do a half roll back here as you exhale. Just leave the roller where it is. Lengthen your arms. Scoop your abdominals back. And then on your next exhale, so inhaling there at the bottom, roll it all the way back up. Exhale. You can press down a little in the roller to help activate your underarms and your shoulder girdle. Elbows are wide. Two more. Exhale. Last one. And then bring the roller to your right and bring your legs to the right as well. And you can kind of tuck them in underneath you. You're gonna go through lateral flexion, roll the roller away a bit, and then come up and go the other direction as well. You can come down onto your forearm there, using your arm to push you up. We'll do 3 times this side. This is 2. Last one. Now switch it to the other side. So notice my legs are in a much, I love that open 90-90 position. For today, for something different, last week as well, we're doing this tight little leg position. And I like this. I've just been playing with this lately because if you have trouble getting into that lateral flexion, which is not uncommon, this really grounds down that hip. Usually we only go this direction. We go away from our feet with our lateral flexion in mermaid. But when we go towards our feet, it makes it much harder to cheat by just leaning. Because when we go to this side, we can kind of have a tendency sometimes to just lean and bring this hip with us. But when we go towards our feet, that opposite hip, it's gonna stay grounded no matter what. This might not be for everyone. I'm going to give you this option, and if it doesn't feel right to you for whatever reason, don't do it. But if you want to do a little abdominal massage here, you're going to lay on the roller between your hip bones and your ribs, and you can just lay down and rest there. And depending on if you don't have a lot of space there and the roller is poking into your ribs in an uncomfortable way, or for whatever, personal reason to you, this doesn't feel right, don't do it. There's no big contraindications, but it is kind of it's a little bit of an awkward and could potentially be uncomfortable position. Also, I have a slight preference for doing this with the inflatable small stability balls. So if you have one of those handy, you could definitely use that instead to lay on. But just the option to stay here for another 3 breaths. Get out of it. Just push your way back to child's pose with your hands on the roller. Roll it forward, drop your forehead towards the floor so you get a big shoulder stretch. Coming down onto your stomach for extension work. Legs wide and externally rotated. Really wrap your legs into external rotation. Heels towards each other, glutes engaged, abdominals lifted, hands on the roller, really forearms on the roller, kind of up towards your elbows. It doesn't have to be kind of halfway up your forearms is about right for most of us, but you can definitely adjust as you get into it. Gaze is down to the floor, abs lifted, glutes engaged, glute engaged. Head slightly above the arms, press down into the roller, draw your breastbone forward. I'm aiming my breastbone towards the top of that white couch in front of me as I rise up, and then slowly reach forward and lay back down. Let your shoulders elevate a little. Really reach the roller forward, let the shoulders slide up the ribcage towards the ears, and then the shoulder blades start sliding down the back to initiate the extension. Your extension might look very different than mine. Might be bigger, might be smaller, but what's important is that you are supporting it from really strong glutes and a long low back, that it doesn't feel compressive in your low back at all, that you're not leveraging your belly down into the floor, you're not pushing down into your belly at all, you're actually lifting up the whole time. You can be done, or maybe one more. Such a strong exercise. My body is usually fine with about 4 or 5 of them, doesn't need a lot of repetitions. Gaze is down, palms roll away from each other, and really reach forward. Let your shoulders slide up, big elevation. Keep your gaze down and externally rotate, face your palms to each other, and externally rotate your arms and slide your shoulders down. So my gaze would be down at the floor, except I think my voice would be really muffled. You're just palms facing each other, shoulders pulled down the back, palms away from each other, shoulders slide up the back. One more time like that. And then land with your palms facing each other. Lift your abdominals, lift your right arm and your left leg. Bring it down and switch sides. Again, my gaze would be down, but I want you to be able to hear me. Keep alternating. Lift your abdominals. Go for stability through your torso rather than rotation or kind of wobbling here. Really stable from your shoulders to your hips. One more each side. Turn your cheek to one side. Interlace your hands behind your back. Bring your legs all the way together and squeeze them together. Lift your abdominals. You're going to pull your knuckles down towards your heels as you lift your chest up and squeeze your shoulder blades together. You're going to bring it down and switch your cheek to the other side. Reach your knuckles down, keep your legs engaged. Squeeze your legs towards each other and engage your glutes. This is big retraction through the scapula. Don't be confused about that one. Don't think that you can possibly keep your shoulder blades in neutral as you reach down towards your heels. Last one. And then a little neck exercise. We pretty much just did it, but I was distracted by the extension. So the arms come out to goalposts. The legs can be however you want here, however feels comfortable. It's going to be very little extension. The basic gist is that you lift your cheeks straight up off the floor, and then look on like an arc over your roller, assuming it's in the same place as mine. Arc over the roller and back down to the other side. Lift your cheek away from the floor, arc over the roller. Keep some space at the back of your neck. So you're not kinking, you're not like dropping right into the vertebrae at the back of the neck. You're keeping a little space there. That's why your arc is very low. Last one. This is weightlifting for the neck. This is resistance training for the neck. The resistance is your head. You can push back into child's pose and take a rest there. So the neck rotator muscles just did a little resistance training. They used the weight of the head as the resistance. Coming up onto your knees. Feel free to, if you're on a traditional mat, you can fold your mat up and pad your knees more. You could also grab, if you're in a space like mine, you don't have a little couch cushion or something available, or a towel, feel free to pad your knees up here more if you want to and make it work for you. Bring your left leg out to the side and your right hand on the roller. You can do a little lateral flexion and come up. Sorry, you're not really laterally flexing here. The roller's a little tall for that. You're leaning, and it's still oblique. It's like side plank here, right? Basically, there we could be in side plank. But we're making it slightly easier, just slightly with the roller. Stay over this time. Take your top hand to your hip, lean a little bit more towards your roller. Your palm is on the top, and you're gonna lift and lower your leg. Front body draws back, back body stays long. the roller slightly in front so that the ribs are inside the frame of the torso. I've got this wild wing today. It just keeps wanting to get wild there out to the side. Keep your right leg lifted and circle it back. Keep drawing your low abdominals up and in. This is one place where I really want to release my abdominals because it feels like it would be much easier that way. It kind of would be, but it wouldn't be helpful functionally. Reverse the circle. You've been going one direction that whole time. Soften your bottom elbow. So the strength here is coming from the shoulder, not the joint. And then keep this leg a little bit lifted as you try to come up onto it. Set the foot down and side bend. Switch sides. So set it up, make sure it's just at least slightly in front of that sideline. Press down to lean and lift up tall. Press down to lean and lift up tall. You probably all saw it in the email, but December classes, the Wednesday night classes, all of them will be up, including this one, until next Wednesday, January 6th. And a lot of you are in Friday's class as well. Friday's class will be up until this Friday, which is 2 weeks after the last live class. So you've had lots of time to access them. Those 3 from the first 3 weeks of December. Circle the leg, circle it back. Reverse direction. In January, registration is available. Since a lot of you have done the Wednesday, signed up for both Wednesday and Friday, it's all the way down at the bottom of the registration page, but there is an option, just a one click to pay for both Wednesdays and Fridays at the same time, rather than registering. Oh, keep it lifted as you come up. Rather than registering for them separately. It's fine to do it that way too, but I did make it a one button option. Come down, and we've done a lot of good hip work today, a lot of hip work. We're gonna give it a little stretch, big stretch. Take the roller in front of you, have your right foot in front, and this is like a pigeon variation or a figure 4 variation. You're going to see if you can get your shin pretty much parallel with that roller. And my bottom leg is just really tucked up underneath me. It's kind of, it's a cross-legged variation here. And I'm already feeling a stretch just by this holding. Recognize that it's the same shape as pigeon pose. You stay where you are. It's the same shape as figure 4, thread the needle laying on your back. Sometimes I do this sitting, sometimes I do it sitting all the way up in a chair and leaning forward. It's just a different relationship with gravity. It's a different amount of body weight force coming down into the stretch. Slightly different angles on the hips, slightly different angles in the pelvis, but it's all variations on a theme for sure. And feel free to play with it. You don't have to do what I'm doing. Just allow yourself to kind of move around in a little bit and see how that changes the stretch. You can even come out of that parallel, and I opened it up a little bit. It's hard to see from that angle, but rather than my shin and the roller being stacked, now just my ankles on the roller. I rolled it forward a little bit, just my ankles on the roller, and my leg is a bit more open between shin bone and thigh bone. Just changing the stretch. Switch sides. I'm laughing at myself because it's a fun one to even try to get into. My hips are tight. Just gonna find where you need it. How deep you can take it. You're moving around in it a little bit or a lot of it. And maybe move it forward a little bit. So we're gonna do one more kind of, realistically, I'll probably go, we still have a little bit more time before 6:30, but those of you who are here live, for what else I want to do with you, I'll realistically go just a few minutes late, like 3 or 4. If you need to take off early, I fully understand. Or take off before I'm done, you know. I fully understand, but also I'll just give you that warning that probably gonna go just because I want to do one more push of challenge, of like muscle work and challenge, and then a little bit more rolling out and stretching. So come into a forearm plank. Come into a forearm plank. Make it work for you. You know, figure out where your hands need to be, and maybe if you can see yourself on your screen, if you're here live, you're looking for that long line between your shoulders and your heels. Your hips aren't breaking the line up or down. Your upper back isn't breaking the line up. Your low back isn't breaking the line down. Really just a long, strong standing position here. And you're breathing and you're thinking about, we can even do a little rocking here. So the top of the head forward and then the heels pull back. So the top of the head forward and the heels pull back. 4. Lift your abdominals. 3, 2, and 1. Set your knees down. Come onto your back. Interlace your hands behind your head. Bring yourself up into flexion. Wrap your shoulder blades forward. You're gonna roll towards me. I think you've all done this with me at this point. You're gonna roll towards me and extend your legs. You're on a little bit of a diagonal here. Rather than hip stacked and shoulder stacked, you're on that flesh, your side butt flesh, and on just behind your armpit. And then you're gonna pull it back in. Definitely imprint here. My knees are pulling in. I'm trying to pull in like a little ball. My low back drops down. Other side. No rotation, no twisting. As you slowly come to the other side, extend the toes and the top of the head away from each other. And then exhale, curl in, curl in, curl in. Try to find that control. Keep going. Let me see if this helps at all on the angles. Yeah, I think that helps. So you see I'm on a diagonal back. And other side. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale. We have one more each side if you're still going with it. Always making sure that your head is cradled or hammocked in your hands and that your upper abs and your shoulder girdle are doing the work to pull you into flexion rather than jutting your head forward. I cheated. I skipped the end of the last one. Bring your knees in and just roll it around. Roll towards me. Lengthen your, actually fold your top arm underneath and just do big rotation. Big, lazy, easy rotation. Let your top knee lift if it needs to. One more this direction. Reverse direction. Roll onto your back. You're going to do rolling like a ball, hands behind the thighs. Do a little rock up to sitting. Find yourself on the back of your pelvis. Find your scoop. Draw your abdominals back. You're rounded through your spine. Your shoulder girdle is broad. As you exhale, roll all the way back and up. Very little, if any, change through your shape. Ah! Through your shape as you come up. I need my breath rather than my voice. So try not to throw it into momentum. Initiate by deepening the engagement in your abdominals. Take out that speed bump of your lumbar curve. Draw your low back to the mat and back up with one more. Soles of the feet together, hinge forward, and you can do a little push of the forearms, elbows into the thighs, side to side. Kind of wiggle yourself down. And then come onto your other side, fold your arm, and take big circles. Easy with the breath, not forced, not controlled. Letting it happen, letting it happen. Reverse the circle of your arm. Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you for everything. Thank you for being here with me this month and this year, really, for a lot of you. I hope that you all have a lovely end to 2020 and can kind of, say good riddance and a happy new year, a happy, sweet new year. And of course, be in touch with me always if you want to chat about anything, have any questions or recommendations. And thank you.
Thanks, Faith.
Happy New Year, Francesca.